So I used that dark brown color to get the prop, as well as that color as the basic initial color. In fact, I sprayed the prop first with primer and then that color. And then I took Tamiya tape and masked off the areas I wanted to remain light. So these are based on pictures I've seen, so that I should end up with a prop would be kind of nice. Now I put that dark brown color in the airbrush, hold the propeller with a little piece of wire or a toothpick, whatever you have that'll hold it so you can grab onto it. And then you airbrush the dark color over this. The idea is to try to get something that looks laminated, like the real airplane. Because remember, this is just a piece of plastic, and you want to make it look like a laminated propeller, which are sort of light and dark, alternating layers. So you just spread this all over the prop, on the edges, on the front and the back, just making sure you cover everything, because when you take off the tape, you don't want to have to redo it if you miss something. So you make sure it's covered. Not a thick coat, just colored, just covered. And you can play with the colors you want to use. You can also, if you don't like the colors, do say lighter colors, and then when they're done, you can smear some oil paint over the top, and you can really get interesting effects that make it look like wood. This is just a very simple, quick and dirty way to do it. But there's the prop now. It looks all brown, and then the magic happens when you start taking off the tape. And you can see as you start to remove the tape, you start to get these layers that begin to show up, and it's kind of fun. It's weird because when you mask stuff, it takes 16 years to mask things, and then you paint them. It takes 5 seconds, and then you unmask for another 10 seconds, and then you get this beautiful thing that makes it all worthwhile. It's like pulling off masks from World War II canopy kind of airplanes. But there it is in its basic form, the light color and the dark color. And the front looks especially good. The rear is kind of a joke, I think. I didn't do a very good job. Then what I do is I overcoat with clear orange. In this case, I dilute it a little bit. You can use clear yellow. You can use clear, just to get it varnished. Depends what you want to do. I tend to like the warmth of the orange color. I dilute it with some isopropanol. And you just spray it. And you can do light coats or heavy coats, whatever you want to do. Or a couple of light coats probably is ideal, until you get something that looks the way you want it. Again, some people argue this is too orange, and that's okay. I kind of like it, but that's because that's what I'm used to. It's different if you're somebody who you don't like it. That's different. I happen to like it, and there it is, pretty much done, and looks good. Not upset with that whatsoever. So now there it is attached. Now, I wanted to show you how I attached it, but I couldn't. I did a couple things on here. You can see the propeller. I also added some decals. Those are the little axial emblems on there. Then in the hub, on the hub, I did that in a special way, which isn't difficult to do. I painted it with a brush with like a dark gray, which is that color I used. And then I hit it with some of this accent color. It's basically very thin paint, goes into all the little crevices and gets things really dark. And then I used a little Prismacolor silver pencil to sort of pick out all of the highlights, and you just sort of rub that over the surface. It's very easy. And it picks out all of the neat little bolts and things that are sticking up, and gives it a real nice overall patina. But there's what it looks like with a lot more finished. Looks pretty good. I put in, I don't know if you can tell, but I put in the wires in between and the aileron cables, also the wires in between the landing gear. I put on the wingtip skids, which were just very simple. That's why I didn't show. You just folded paper over and cut them out and then glued them on. And the one thing I did differently on this little guy was I finally put in, made out of the metal balsa and paper, that piece. That's the sort of the padding that goes over the gun butts, the breeches, so that you wouldn't hurt yourself if you fell forward. Still a fair amount of things to do on it yet. I do think the next video will be the final video, though. I got to put in the windscreen. Oh, I put on aileron control cables and the aileron control horns. But I got to do a lot of little things, like a gas cap, like a little touch-up paint, like cockpit combing, steps, and handholds have to go on here. So there's a fair amount of little things to do, but it's very, very close. And I have to say, I'm a little biased because I like doing the paper modeling, of course, but man, it does look good when I compare it to a typical plastic model of the same airplane. So I'm quite pleased with how it's turning out. Not much more to go.